everybody. Welcome back to Cowboy Logic. We got Don Brown in the barn with us right now. We're talking Extortion 1-7. Don, in reading the book, and you got to know, I've read that book now twice and listened to the audio book one time, driving in and out of work. So I want this embedded in my frontal lobe. Tell us go through a couple of bullet points of some of the things that are going to be most troubling when the viewers read and watch this, but specifically read this book.
Yeah, well, there's so much. I'll try to give you bullet points. And we saw a couple there just in the trailer. But to set the time frame, this mission flown by these SEALs came 96 days after the bin Laden mission. The Taliban was looking to retaliate and to take out members of U.S. Special Forces. We've been flying missions into this Tangi Valley there in Afghanistan, and we intercepted, first of all, radio-controlled traffic. Just 2 days after Obama was taking out, the Taliban was going to be shooting at American helicopters. That being the case, Obama's rules of engagement prevented pre-suppression fire for these choppers flying in this area. In other words, when ordinarily at Normandy, remember, when we go in to land troops, we bam, 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 we hit the beaches with fire, Iwo Jima. But Obama's rules of engagement would not allow us to fire into the landing zone. So we were leaving these guys basically without any defense coming up. Knowing that the Taliban was threatening to shoot down a chopper, and not only knowing that, but knowing that they brought in over 100 additional fighters a day after Obama was killed into this small valley with RPGs for the purpose of shooting down a chopper. Yet we did not give these SEALs any protection at all. The second thing is, why are we flying this mission to begin with? One of the things that shocked me the most, Don and Donna, that I did not know when I wrote the book, but I learned afterwards. I was giving a presentation on the book, and I have a PowerPoint up in the mountains of North Carolina, 2017, I believe. And at the end, I was approached by this gentleman, and he introduced himself. This fellow turned out to be a U.S. Army intelligence who also was the first CIA station chief in Kabul for the first 2 years of the Afghan war. And he said to me, this isn't, and he left the service in 2002, but he said, this doesn't make any sense. He told me SEAL Team 6 would not be flying missions like this because SEAL Team 6 is only used for the highest value targets. But the thing that he told me the most, that shocked me the most, he said at the beginning of the war, the Secretary of Defense turned over operational control of SEAL Team 6 only, SEAL Team 6 to the CIA. In other words, the CIA was controlling many, if not most, of the missions that SEAL Team 6 was flying. And if you go back and read about the Osama bin Laden mission, even the New York Times and the Washington Post have run articles about Leon Panetta, who at that time became CIA director, ultimately controlling those missions. So that shocked me. Now, then some strange things happened. This flight, as I mentioned in the trailer, was supposed to be 10 minutes wheels up, wheels down. But as it was approaching the landing zone, all of a sudden, we lose communication with it. It's hanging there in the air. We don't know what's going on. We're getting strange communications from the pilot. The pilot says, request a sparkle. And I don't have time to go into the details. These are odd communications. We don't know why it's not landing. And then all of a sudden, 7 minutes later, it's blown out of the sky. Now, when a chopper goes down, it's about 2:39 a.m. local time in Afghanistan. We eventually send in Rangers and Pathfinders to the crash site. The Pathfinders could have been there within 15 minutes. They were on Black Hawk helicopters. They were held out. The Rangers marched by foot. Same Rangers these two helicopters had delivered to another site earlier perfectly, arrived at 4:12 a.m. The Pathfinders were told to go find the black box. And so they start looking for this black box, okay? Now, keep that in mind. This is August. By October, the military had closed the investigation down in a period of less than 60 days. In fact, within about 30 days, it was closed down. In October, the military, that is a SEAL community, brings in parents to Virginia Beach, to Little Creek, Virginia, so that Brigadier General Jeffrey Colt, who was conducting this investigation in the direction of James Mattis, who at that time was the commander of Central Command, he's briefing the parents. He said, your sons were brave. They were heroes. There's nothing that could have been done. And when he's doing that, Don and Donna, these senior enlisted guys are passing out envelopes to family members. The general doesn't know what's going on. But what it turns out to be in those envelopes is a 1,200 pages of declassified material relating to that shoot down. And that's how the book was written. And we discovered, for example, going back to the black box thing, these pathfinders said, and you can read it in the declassified report that was passed out without the senior brass in the Pentagon knowing about it, that these pathfinders said the first time they have ever not been able to find a black box.
Yeah.
Now, why is that significant? Because that black box would have had two components, a flight data recorder and a cockpit voice recorder. And that cockpit voice recorder could have, and most very likely would have, told us exactly what happened. Because we could hear what the pilots were saying. We could hear what was going on inside.
Yeah.
But it disappeared.
Yep. And the same players that are around now did all this. I mean, it's just this is what's so frustrating. It's almost like you get a promotion if you do the wrong thing. That's what we're seeing.
You're looking,
you know,
generals and admirals promoted during the Obama administration who had to buy into the Church of Woke in order to do that.
Yep.
And I love President Trump, love him to death. His Achilles heel sometimes is personnel inspection. And when he selected James Mattis as Secretary of Defense, Billy Vaughn and I were going, what in the heck has he done? The president didn't know. He had no way of knowing, but we knew. And the woke in the military must be rooted out. I just saw there was the Navy, my branch of the service, with an ad for a transgender. Let me ask, what kind of a Navy SEAL is going to take? Is going to take orders?
And let's leave $85 billion worth of munitions, some brand new helicopters and all kinds of things in Afghanistan, and just pull out. And we could have just gassed them up, as Trump has said many times, and flown them out. But 400 miles, from China. Look, you're a JAG officer. You really, and I wanted to get to the attorney part of this whole thing. We only got a few minutes left because this is what's so disconcerting right now. Your new book coming out, you said the working title is Kangaroo Court, but you're talking about Ted Stevens, Rick Perry, Roger Stone, and Steve Bannon being railroaded, pro-lifers being railroaded. What I want to know is, how can we fix this? Because we're seeing judges basically already with preconceived notions of what's going on. When you've got judges that equate January 6th to 9/11, how does Trump or any of these defendants get a fair trial?
You can't get a fair trial in D.C. That's simply not going to happen. No Republican, no conservative has a snowbird's chance in hell of any type of acquittal in the District of Columbia. It simply won't happen. From a broader standpoint, we have to understand what's going on here, whether it's extortion, whether it's these J6 cases, and you guys have been the greatest advocate in the world. Nearly 1,000 Americans have been arrested as of last spring. I've lost count now. Most of them on Mickey Mouse federal equivalent of trespass charges, yet still sending them to jail. We got to understand that this is 1917 come to America in 2023. We're in the middle of a Bolshevik revolution, okay? This is a broad assault on multiple fronts of the United States Constitution. So before we get to the solution, we have to understand the scope of the problem. We're on the precipice of absolute totalitarianism right now. Now, how do you deal with it? Congress abdicated this responsibility years ago after the Administrative Procedures Act was passed, the Federal Register Act, when all these federal agencies were created. Congress basically turned over all its authority to the executive branch. But Congress still controls the purse strings. Now, if they want to put their money where their mouth is, cut the damn money, okay? You've got to cut it. The only way you're going to shrivel this problem up is to cut the money to it. I mean, I was listening to Banner earlier today, talking about we're coming up on another possible shutdown, but we're funding under continuing resolution, woke after woke after woke after woke. Every dime that Jack Smith gets, every dime, and matter of fact, these courts, but every court, by the way, other than the United States Supreme Court, I don't know if people understand this, but every United States District Court or Court of Appeals, not counting the Supreme Court, was funded by Congress. The courts are a creation of Congress, which is why we call them sometimes Article 1 court. Now, the Supreme Court is not, but Congress must not abdicate its responsibility. We got to put pressure first on Congress. Yeah, and we got to speak out and to do it fearlessly like you guys have been doing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Shut it down is all I can say, Don. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. With the movie, salemnow.com/fallen angel, because if you Otherwise, you just go for Fallen Angel. It shows up other movies. So I want people to go look at that. And we're going to try to show that on a future Cowboy Logic as well, or a special if we can do it. Because I think people need to know this was really waking a lot of people up, as I said before. And with your great work, we got to have you back on when your new book comes out, because we need to figure out how to just defund the whole damn thing and start over again. Because right now we're really in a problem. Like you say, totalitarianism.
Thanks for joining us, Don. Thank you, buddy.
On the brink. Thank you,
We got
Don.
to go to break, ladies and gentlemen. Cowboy Logic. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. I'm Donna Fiducia with Cowboy Logic with Ida, our newest rescue dog. And we got a new MyPillow dog bed for her. She doesn't know her name yet, so she doesn't even come when she's called. And Big Dome, because we're sitting on his big bed that he's had for a number of months. They're washable and dryable. And I got to tell you, yep, he enjoys it. He's relaxing. These dog beds are awesome for the dogs. And they, again, last. Because this dog bed, I got to tell you, is probably 8-10 months old. I've washed it numerous times. But they come all rolled up like this. You can see it. This is the medium size for Ida, wherever the heck she went. And when you just take open this plastic, it pops up and you've got your medium or large or small dog bed. Go to mypillow.com, promo code 1776. It supports Michael and Dell and, of course, our Cowboy Logic show. We really do appreciate it. mypillow.com and mystore.com for all these great products, promo code 1776.